Hello, this is Dr. Sina McCullough. Welcome to Hands Off My Food. Today's topic is part 3 in our series titled Better Health Through Forgiveness. And to help me address this topic, I've invited Debbie Leoni back to the program. Debbie Leoni is an international speaker, author, personal trainer, and fearless living coach. She teaches personal development through helping people reconnect with their body, mind, and spirit. Debbie helps clients heal past wounds, find their purpose, and create a vision and action plan that allows them to achieve their life goals and to live fearlessly. In part 1 of our series, Debbie showed us that forgiveness not only creates better health, but it's actually essential for achieving optimal health and wellness. And we also discussed how important it is to forgive ourselves for shaming ourselves through our thoughts and our words. We even discussed how seemingly harmless words like should can actually carry blame. So in part 1, we became aware of how we shame ourselves. In part 2, we learned how to forgive ourselves so that we can shift those negative feelings and create optimal health and wellness. And today, Debbie is going to teach us how to forgive someone else for wronging us. Welcome back to the program, Debbie.
Thank you, Sina.
It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
So if it's all right with you, I wanted to jump right in and share a situation in which I have been unable to forgive somebody. Mm-hmm. So when I was a child, I had a traumatic event happen to me. And what I have learned in all my research and interacting with different people who have chronic conditions or chronic illnesses is that this is a common thread amongst us. So oftentimes you will have some kind of traumatic event in your childhood and you're unable to forgive, or maybe you just don't know how to forgive. And so it festers and it grows in you, and it can actually develop into disease. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to start out by asking you, how does that happen? So how does lack of forgiveness for somebody else lead to disease, and how can we shift that so we can move past it and live an optimal, well life?
Great. So yes, it absolutely does hinder healing, because when we can't forgive, we're holding that negative energy inside of us, and it becomes toxic. And in some way, shape, or form, it'll show up in disease. So forgiveness it's such a powerful experience, a healing experience, and most of us don't know how. And so that's what I'm here to hopefully have everyone leave here having, some steps to take around forgiving others. And so why we have a hard time forgiving others is because we think that we're different than them. So, and this doesn't mean that whatever behavior someone displayed towards us wasn't hurtful and wasn't unhealthy. It's not excusing the behavior, but whoever it is you can't forgive is someone in your life to offer you healing. And like I said in the last series, it's a shift in perspective. So for example, that person that you can't have trouble forgiving, there's something that you're noticing in that person that you have perhaps excused yourself of. So let me just ask you, what's the quality in that person that most prevents you from forgiving them?
Well, it's because that person, when I was a child, and so I needed this person, and they abandoned me in their own. So I can't, I feel like I'm going to cry. I can't imagine doing that to my own child.
Right. So you felt abandoned.
Yes.
Right.
On many different levels, I felt abandoned.
Okay.
Like I said, now that I'm a parent, I could not do that to my child. So, which made it worse that like now I'm even less likely to forgive this person because of my own feelings towards my children.
Right. So here's the opportunity, and oftentimes it's really difficult to identify this, but I want you to consider, Sina, any times in your life where you may have abandoned someone in any way, shape, or form. Can you think of anyone?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely can think of times that I've abandoned somebody, but at the same time, I feel like the severity of the abandonment was not nearly as deep as how this person hurt me. And just the level of, considering what the situation was, the way that they abandoned me, and just, like I said, how deep it cut.
Yeah.
It was just deeper than the more, what I would call superficial type of abandonment that I have done.
Okay. Perfect. So this is a typical example. Thanks for sharing this. So this is what we do to kind of condone our unwillingness to forgive. We as humans, we think linearly. We quantify everything, which separates us. So what I mean is that we make them, well, what they did is worse than when I did it. And what if that's not true, right? What if you got to see that he or she abandoned me, and I also abandoned others? What could you see from that space, right? Because actually, this is a biblical teaching. All of the great teachers taught this, that who are you to point the finger? When you're pointing the finger, this one's at you, right? When you're pointing the finger at someone, you're the one that's got this log in your eye. You got to take the log out of your eye first before you can heal and love. So the work is to no longer quantify that behavior that was done to you, and to instead bring it back onto you and notice all the times that you too have abandoned, even in the smallest way, because we measure sins, right? We measure, well, that one's not so bad. We justify it. Or all the times that you've abandoned yourself by judging yourself, by abusing yourself in any way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Actually, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, but it does make complete sense. So, okay, but then part of me also feels like, okay, so now I'm going to turn it around and admit to myself all the times that I've abandoned somebody else, or I've wronged somebody else. So then it puts me in a space where I just feel bad. And so then I start shaming myself again for, mistreating other people. So I feel like I'm now in this vicious cycle.
Yeah. So that's a really good point too. And so what if that's okay, that you're in that space of understanding yourself more, noticing that, yeah, I have done things like that before in the past. Who can I be because of it? How can I first let go of the judgment around it and use it as a way to propel me into the future in a more loving way?
Oh, okay. So what I think I hear you saying is that these people were put into my life for a reason, and they're actually mirrors of something inside myself that maybe I necessarily don't like about myself, or might want to change about myself. So in essence, I have an opportunity with looking at this person and identifying, I'm upset with you because you abandoned me, and then taking that in and saying, okay, so how have I abandoned other people, and maybe how can I right the wrongs?
Yeah, right? How can you bring love to this whole situation? And like we talked about in the second series, it's shifting your perspective. And so what would it be like if you just imagine you were a small child standing across from the other person as a small child, and just sending them love and understanding that they make unhealthy choices and so do I. What would that feel like?
As you're describing it, I was visualizing myself and that other person as these little kids, and I actually got butterflies in my stomach, but not in a nervous way, in a more joyous way, like my child wanted to start playing with their child.
Right. And whatever that person did to you, they were acting out of their wounds, as we do when we abandon someone or show that same behavior.
Yeah.
Again, it's not about justifying the behavior or excusing it. It's bringing healing to yourself, shifting your perspective.
Okay, so for me to be able to forgive this individual, I don't have to excuse the behavior, right? So I don't have to somehow justify it that, in some weird way it was okay, they did this to me. I can be comfortable telling myself it was not okay that this person did this to me. But like you said before, forgiveness is a choice. It's a perspective. So I can forgive this person simply by changing my own perspective on how I feel about that person now. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And what the question I ask myself when I'm in that, when I'm struggling with forgiving someone is, I'll ask myself, how can I love them anyway?
Oh,
And I love them anyway. And it's hard because we've got these righteous positions that they're wrong and we're right. But when you let go of that, that's, you open your heart and you can see that they're you, you know, they're imperfect beings just like us.
That I love that. I love that because that's what it is. My ego was holding on to it, right? My ego is like, I'm right. I'm holier than thou. Like now, I didn't see it before, but now that you walk me through it, I see that this is my ego getting in the way of my own healing, right? And I want to feel relieved of this. I want to let it go. I want the burden to be lifted off of me. And so now I realize that to do that, I need to move past the ego. I need to transcend the ego.
Yeah. It's up to you because forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. We think it does. We think, well, they need to they owe me an apology and they should do this and that. Let it go. It has nothing to do with them. It's all about shifting your internal world from fear into love.
Wow. And that actually makes me feel really good about the process of forgiveness, because part of my fear around forgiving this person was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to one day confront this person and tell them, this is how you've hurt me. And, you know, in hopes that this person will offer up that I'm sorry, like that apology. But what you're saying is, if my forgiving the person is independent of that person, so I don't even have to confront that person.
Nor will you need it. Nor do you need it. You know, you're at peace with it. And it's like, yeah, there's no dependency or attachment to them behaving in a specific way. You have no control over that anyway.
That's true. We can't control other people, right? But like you said, I can control my perspective. I can control how I feel about it. And I can choose to forgive that person. And like I said, I want to be the optimal best self I can be and to have optimal wellness. So Debbie, I appreciate you coming on the program and teaching us how to do this. It is so much simpler than I thought forgiveness was. And I'm excited because I'm going to have Debbie tell the viewers and listeners, but Debbie is going to join us for a live call-in. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're going to be on April 14th right here via Zoom. Anybody can come on and we'll be sending the link. You can come on either just audio or video so we can see you. And it's going to be an opportunity for anyone and everyone to come on and ask questions around forgiveness or share how this process has worked for you. And just for both of us to be there to support you through this healing process. So I'm excited about that. And that's going to be at 1 Eastern, 12 Central.
On April 14th.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that too, because community is so critical for achieving optimal healing and for achieving optimal health. And that's one thing I'm finding is also a common thread, is that a lot of us don't have that sense of community. So I want to thank you for providing us with this safe environment that we can all come on. And like she said, you can either be on video, or if you don't want to be on video, you can just call in by telephone and participate that way. And you know that you're in this safe environment with us. You don't have to share if you don't want to. You can just listen. But we're here to support and to help you in your journey. So we hope to see you on April 14th. Thank you so much, Debbie.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.